what are we watching? Right. This is Nicholas, last name I can't pronounce, who believed this nonsense because that's what the church believed. And he happened to be a Christian, and he happened to figure out that that was wrong. The Earth isn't in the center of the solar system, and he did so using empirical methods and tests. He was a good scientist up until a point, that point being that he still believed in God. Well, I suppose one can believe in God and be a good scientist, but when it comes to God, your science has to end, because as far as I'm aware, there's no empirical evidence or test that we could perform on God. Thus, God is not a thing within science. But this video tries to make a point that a lot of the early scientists were Christians, and the new atheists only like the Christians or the atheist scientists of modern day. They basically worship Harris and Dawkins and so on and so forth. Well, it doesn't say worship, but they like all their stuff, and all that's on their web pages, their YouTube pages, is nothing but those videos. And just nothing to go on here. Just poisoning of the well, half-truths, irrelevancies, appeals to authority, and basically a complete and utter deliberate misunderstanding and straw man of what atheism is, and what so-called new atheists are about. I'm a skeptic, so I'm an atheist because I'm a skeptic. I've never used the word new, and I don't see the point of doing so. And you make an awful lot of claims in this video that would be easy to verify. You also make a lot of comments in your text responses that are rather disturbing. You say things to the effect of that this is mockery, because all the atheists understand is mockery. Okay, here we go. I wanted to get the text comment up so I could read it. So Acts17Apologetics is the YouTuber name. Says, new atheists only speak in mockery. That's the only language they understand is mockery, so I mock them. They wouldn't understand anything else. I get hourly messages from some of the least literate people imaginable, telling me they're smart and I'm stupid, all because I believe in God and they don't. When I go to their pages, I find them littered with Dawkins and Harris videos. Convincing stupid people they're smart is a massive problem, because when stupid people think they're smart, they lose the incentive to learn. And the rest of the comment is in response to this other person, and so it's irrelevant to my point. Which is, really? I understand non-mockery stuff. So, what? And to your claim here, well, make a video showing all the hourly comments that you get, and then show their YouTube page that's littered with Harris and Dawkins video. Since you get them hourly, that should be easy. You should have at least 24 videos and video channels to point to, right? Unless you were exaggerating by hourly, and you might want to clarify that. At least you be a little bit unhonest there. So, what is good science? Empirical evidence, repeatable tests, that is in the realm of good science. Observations, right? Making a hypothesis and trying to falsify said hypothesis, and then eventually publishing your findings and having other people test it and having other people review it, and eventually it becomes a theory after a lot of evidence is poured onto it. So, since you like science, I would assume that you're okay with biological evolution, the age of the Earth, and Big Bang cosmology, right? And why would you have a problem with Dawkins? He's a scientist. What about Neil deGrasse Tyson? He's a scientist. Now, he says no to the title atheist, but he doesn't believe in God. He'd rather call himself agnostic. Actually, he'd rather just call himself a scientist. I don't really care what he calls himself. I still enjoy the man's work, and listening to him speak is enjoyable. But that doesn't mean that he's the only source that I turn to for my science. That would be silly. Also, Bill Nye is a scientist that happens to also be an atheist. And it just seems like a lot of scientists these days happen to be atheists. One has to wonder why that is. But fair enough, lots of scientists are many religions, not just Christian, and it might be very true that the early scientists were Christian. But now we're seeing a decline of that, thanks largely in part to creationists. Okay, so you can be religious and be a scientist, but as far as God goes, there is no science that can be applied, at least none that's ever been peer-reviewed and published. If it ever was, that would be Nobel Prize winning stuff and news breaking around the world. I'm sure Fox and friends would jump all over it. Look, we finally proved it, it's God. Although they would be upset if it wasn't their God. What if science did prove a different God that didn't happen to be your God? Would you agree with science, or would you say, no, that's wrong? I'd agree with it. I'd be like, alright, we got the evidence, we got the data, alright, good to go. I'll agree with it. See, I don't need to believe if I have evidence or repeatable tests. I don't need to believe that this wall is behind me. It's really there, and I could test it and have other people test it and tell me about it and confirm that it's real. But there seems to be a lack of empirical evidence or repeatable tests for any God claim, including yours. Which leaves the only thing would be that you could hope to offer is a logically coherent argument. An argument presented within the logical format, typically a syllogism, that contains absolutely no logical fallacies. That would make it worthwhile for me to at least investigate further into your conclusion. This video is full of logical fallacies, so I'm automatically and instantly skeptical of your ideas. You have a straw man, you have appeals to authority, you have half-truths and outright lies, and nothing really substantial. And as far as this idea that you get hourly messages and that all these pages are filled with prove it. Make a video and prove it. You should have plenty to show for data. I know that was a text comment of yours, but I just want you to prove that you're an honest person, because the Bible encourages honesty. It also discourages mockery. Do not answer them in their own way, lest you be as bad as them or something like that. I don't know, it's been a while since I've read the Bible or cared what it says. So yeah, that's in there somewhere. I'll have to Google it, I suppose. But you should know exactly what I'm talking about, because, you know, you're the Christian, you should care about the Bible. I don't need to care about it because I'm a skeptic. So you should know instantly what I'm talking about, right? Right? Can you name the 12 disciples off the top of your head, just out of curiosity? And both sets of the 10 Commandments, just out of curiosity? Or is... No, is that asking too much? I'm not sure. But all I need from you is empirical evidence, or repeatable tests, or a logically coherent argument, and I'll agree that there is a deity. And if you can provide evidence for a particular deity, then I'll agree that that particular deity exists, and I will not be a skeptic in regards to that particular deity, and I will no longer be able to call myself an atheist. So, Acts17Apologetics. That's a simple task, I'm sure, to perform, as you also show the at least 24 different videos of different atheists who like Dawkins and Harris, since you get them hourly. That would be easy to show. Also, evidence that you get them hourly would also be easy to show. So I await your video response to my video, response to your video. And I expect to be disappointed, because I don't think you will respond. I don't think you are capable of doing so, because responding to me would undermine your lies to people who you're trying to convince that they're right. If you hold a position to be true and you're not willing to question if it is true or not, then you're closed-minded. I'm willing to be convinced I'm wrong. What do you have to convince me that I'm wrong?